Alright everyone, Alex Jones decided to confront Marco Rubio during, I believe, one of the breaks in the Intel Committee hearings that they were having with the Senate where Jack Dorsey and some of these others were coming forth. I believe it was Twitter, Facebook, and Google had representatives there. By the way, Bernie Sanders just passing the Stop Bezos Act, which is, unconstitutional in nature and also a fucking stupid idea, but he's gonna play it up to his little, poopy fans and stuff like that. So, we're gonna get big corporations, they're big meanies, we're gonna get them to pay for all of the government programs that you have to use, specifically because the government has fucked up the fucking economy. But it's Amazon's fault, despite the trillions it pumps into the U.S. economy over its existence. Alex Jones decided to go to the Senate hearings. Now, initially, it appears that he was slated to potentially be inside and, actually speak, actually give testimony. They should have let him do that because the alternative was letting Alex Jones browbeat everyone outside. He was going up. He had people, trying to protest him. There was some, rad femme liberals there, and they, started shouting about how he was an evil, sexist conspiracy theorist. And it was very funny. And then he just sat there mocking them, and then they eventually wandered off. It was really funny. And then he got into it with little Marco. Marco Rubio himself, by the way, it's really funny. Some people are like, "Oh, he's attacking Republicans." It's a little Marco. He's a neocon. Marco Rubio is not some Trumpite populist that cares about American workers. He's a standard garden variety neocon. A vague, sort of muddled individual. He just happens to be young enough so he can sort of do the slippery shoed sort of little thing that they do. The more suave thing that Obama did, rather. But Marco Rubio has a problem right now with his credibility, I think, for a tech-literate audience. Now, here's the problem, of course. As a younger politician, he's going to have fans that are skewed a little bit more towards the young side, certainly than a Ted Cruz or something. I know Ted Cruz is technically near the same age bracket, but he looks a lot older. I don't know how he managed to pull it off. I guess it's all the butter cows that he licks or something like that. But Alex Jones confronted him. He's like, well, basically, what are your thoughts on these tech firms that you're talking to censoring people like me? And by the way, why don't we give testimony to people who have been fucked over by Twitter and all of these other sites? And Marco Rubio's like, first, he didn't know who Alex Jones was, supposedly. I'm not sure that that's actually true. I think that was a way of mocking him. But let's assume that that's true. Let's assume that Rubio literally has no idea what InfoWars is. Why, then, is he part of the Senate Intel Committee questioning the big tech firms with regards to suppression and censorship? If he doesn't know anything about the InfoWars case that was fucking headline news all over the country for 3-4 days, why is he on the Senate Intel Committee? He's obviously out of touch and can't do his job if he doesn't know who Alex Jones is. Look, Alex Jones' face was plastered all over front page news and all over cable TV and all over the internet for a fucking week. He's one of the most famous people of the modern age, arguably, at this point, simply because of that whole dust-up. The legacy media, in trying to knock one of their competitors out of the way, which is exactly what CNN did with regards to InfoWars, they made him more famous. They made him actually far more well-known. It's very funny how their plan backfired. By the way, they still should be, to this day, I maintain, InfoWars should be restored on all of these platforms. They should be unbanned on YouTube. They should be unbanned on these various Facebook pages. They won't be, probably, because they're trying to suppress InfoWars and other independent commentators and groups for other nefarious reasons. But for Marco Rubio not to know who he is, not to be able to recognize him, he's all go, "Hi, I'm Alex Jones. What are your thoughts on this?" Alex Jones. No, Rubio has no clue who that is. No clue what InfoWars is. Then why is he even talking to the press, the corporate press, with regards to the very issue of tech censorship? That's one half. There were two components of this hearing. Algorithms and censorship. That's what they were talking about. You'd think that InfoWars would have been mentioned more than a few times. Instead, it's just Jack Dorsey sitting there lying outright to Congress. Oh no, we don't have any political axe to grind. We don't censor anyone. The quality filter is not political. We have a million examples of it being so. We have a million examples of people, verified users on Twitter, breaking the rules blatantly and suffering no repercussions because they're breaking the rules from a certain political, socio-political perspective that Jack seems to apparently have no problem with. Meanwhile, all anyone was outraged about is that InfoWars is still there and that Jack Dorsey actually was involved in the process of deciding, no, they had fucking broken the rules, so we can't kick them off. When Jack Dorsey, who sits there and proclaims, no, we're not censoring conservatives or the anti-left, I would say. When Dorsey sits there and lies outright to Congress and says these things, and gets away with it because, like, you know, apparently Congress is fucking clueless to the issue itself. Apparently Trump is the only one that understands the issue a little bit. When he does it, he is the least of the evils among the big tech giants. That's the funny part. He's the only one that didn't immediately kick Alex Jones off. In some cases, like with YouTube, he got kicked off. It wasn't even because of, what was it, Sandy Hook or something. A lot of people were claiming InfoWars has to go because they're defaming people and spreading dangerous lies. That's not what YouTube said. YouTube said, no, that's not the reason that they're gone. They're gone because they were streaming on a second channel while their main channel had several strikes and couldn't stream. It was ban evasion. That's why we suspended their account. Meanwhile, it's still on Twitter. He got, sandboxed on there for several weeks for no reason. And now Twitter, less than a week before these hearings, mysteriously removing most people, it seems, most political commentators from its quality filter ban. It'll be interesting to see whether that's a long-term sort of thing. It looks like they're just limiting retweets or something like that. So, they're still shadow banning people in effect. It's just less prevalent, I guess, than before, or it's taken on a different form that the pre-existing sites to check that can actually determine as a QFD shadow ban. But yeah, Alex Jones, it was funny though, because Jones is like, go back to your bathhouse. He patted him on the back at one point, Marco Rubio, and Rubio's like, don't touch me again, I'll take care of you myself, I don't need to call the police. It's like, dude, you're like, number one, you're a little 5'6", scrawny senator. You're not intimidating. Alex Jones played football and shit. You're not intimidating anybody. Number two, you're threatening to assault Alex Jones, in effect. Patting someone on the back in the hallway in front of a bunch of cameras and stuff. It's like, yes, I'm sure Alex Jones is planning to physically assault Marco Rubio. It's definitely, that's a true statement. Makes sense. Credible threat to pat someone on the back. Totally credible. Meanwhile, Rubio's like, oh, I don't know who you are. Who's this crazy dude? Haha, who's this clown? You don't even know what InfoWars is. How can you be taken credibly? How is it that you're going to grill Dorsey or any of these other people and be able to get answers out of them and debate them on any issue and have a problem maybe with anything that they've ever done if you don't even know the fucking issues that you're talking about? This was started, the reason you're talking to these groups is specifically because InfoWars was mass deplatformed across 90% of the mainstream internet. That is the main reason why you're having that hearing, and you don't even know who Alex Jones is? The leader of the group at the center of the whole fucking storm? I don't know, he must have not popped his amphetamine that day or something. So I would say Marco Rubio is, and I've told people this, Marco Rubio is not the sort of person to be trusted. Like if you're an actual populist, if you're part of the new right sort of libertarian-leaning, non-neocon Republican movement or anything associated with it, you probably don't like the concept that big tech giants should censor everyone. You probably see that as at least inappropriate, if not unlawful. I see it as both myself. If you believe in these things, you can't possibly trust somebody like Marco Rubio. He's a backstabber in the most complete way. Just a little neocon shill. That's all he'll ever be. That's about all. Peace out.